Right, here we go again. Frankie Parsons here reporting for duty, bringing you the very best recommendations in PC games for the single player, where I look at a top 20. What's the genre today, Mr. Parsons? It's the racing genre of the Sim/Simcade variety. Let's open the curtains, see what's behind it, shall we? We'll need to bring up the spotlights, of course, to focus on our main game today, which is Assetto Corsa Competizione. A video I've had to really do by dragging myself away from Hearthstone Battlegrounds, where I set a Corsa to crush the competizione I own, eh? And in a flash, we'll go to the 48 genres, where we will do our usual checklist procedure of taking away the genres we have looked at thus far. That's 3 from Tier 1, that is 4 from Tier 2, and of course 2 from Tier 3. Those we've done. We are today looking at the racing of the Sim/Simcade variety. This is not to be confused with the racing arcade games, Forza Horizon series, Need for Speed, The Crew, Trackmania, and of course classics such as Garfield Kart and Teddy Floppy Ear. We are of course doing racing of the Simcade variety. Let's click on it and see what games are in the top 20. Now, before placing the medals, I do want to mention 2 notable absences. Number 1, iRacing, whose subscription model is a bit too much for me, and R-Factor 2, which is a little bit dated and whose tracks are a little bit expensive for what you get. In saying that, they are probably the 2 most favoured games by the sort of hardcore sim racing community, so make of that what you will. Let's bring those medals in. And start by bringing our contenders in, all of which are pretty decent games, all which you can use with a wheel. Games I've not actually tried, but are very decent games. The Grid game I'm looking forward to playing, Forza Motorsport 7, I've not yet purchased, but as I say, they look really good games. Bronze are fairly old games also you can play with a wheel, but I do think that the Grid and the Dirt 3 games you kind of need to play around a little bit with some of the files, if I recall correctly. Silver. Need for Speed Shifter, fairly old game now, onto the 2010s, 2012s. You can use a wheel for that, but you do need to go into the files. There's also some single class games here. The rally games are excellent. Dirt Rally does have a sequel coming up. Formula 1 2017 also has a sequel coming up, and WRC 7 has got sequels as well, but they're all, again, solid games. On to Gold. Dirt Rally 2.0 has a lot more tracks, a fuller game, more detailed game, which I've not yet tried, but a no-brainer gold medalist. Similar with Formula 1 2019, which is pretty much the same game as Formula 1 2017 from Codemasters there, which I've just not tried. Race Room is an interesting one. They have very interesting tracks from the Grade 2 style tracks, and Wreckfest is fantastic, probably one of the best AI. It really feels like you're racing against humans. Kind of arcade-like. You might kind of saying that as a Simcade is stretching it a little bit, but it's a fantastic game. Okay, finally the Platinums. These are the must-haves. Prequel to today's game, of course, Assetto Corsa. It's about 5 or 6 years old now, so you do need the contents manager, you do need the shaders patch and Sol, so yes, you will need to download some mods to really get that one up to date, but it is absolutely worth it, and some really good tracks you can download. Assetto Corsa Competizione we'll be looking at. Makers of R-Factor 2 here, with Automobilista 2. Riser Studios is a fantastic game. Strangely overlooked by a lot of people, that one. Project Cars 2 is also kind of shunned a little bit by the sim racing community, but it's also by the Madness engine and very accessible for beginners, that one. That was an excellent game. Now, before we dive into today's game, it has to be stressed that these are sim racing games, and unlike arcade games, should really be experienced with a wheel. Now, looking at these games, of course, certainly the Gold and Platinum games, I would highly recommend using a wheel, and they all, of course, handle a wheel superbly well. But you also need a pretty good system, so I thought I'd just very quickly show my system. This one I bought 3 years ago. It was high end when I bought it, but now would be considered more mid-range. I'd also recommend a monitor which is at 144 Hertz, just in passing. And also regarding a wheel, most kind of reputable sim racers would recommend an entry-level wheel along the lines of a Logitech G29, and I bought this again about 2.5 years ago, and would thoroughly recommend that for any sim race, especially if you're just starting out. Right, let's get into Assetto Corsa Competizione. Right, here we are. As always, we'll start with the home page. This is the first screen you get to when you first start the game. I'll of course be focusing on the single player portion of the game. Being a hot lap kind of guy, I won't be going into any racing today. That is racing against the AI, but of course if you want to do that, this game has that in spades. You'll of course go with the championship option here and set up your own little competition. You can also go through a career mode. Again, I abandoned that because there was a heavy racing involved and I got 15, as far as 15% there. You can do multiplayer. If you click on this, you can explore this and go into lobbies and jump in and race against people online if that's your thing. A huge area of the game devoted to that. There's also special events here where you can do hot laps, hot stints and various kind of variations of hot lapping. Again, if you click on one of these squares, you'll get all the times here that you need to beat, and you go around, you do it's like a single player time trial kind of thing, and then your time is compared to other people online. You can have a look at previous events as well. A lot of these are locked due to the fact that I need to buy the DLC for some of these as well. So there's that. And before we set up a single player hot lap, let's just have a look at our stats over here. If we go to this section here, you'll see all the tracks lined up on the left hand side. It's done in order of distance, so the track where that you've driven the most distance in will appear at the top. If you click on one of these, for example Suzuka, it shows all your best times here with all the different cars. Again, this is done in order of how far you've driven with the car. So for example Nissan, I've driven the most, and there's your best time here on the right hand side. So for hot lapping, you can maybe try to improve some of the weak times here. Do it in any which way you want, and there's quite a few cars I've yet to do times on. So that's how that's organised. I'll go back to the home page, and then from the home page you can set up a hot lap. Okay, three main sections to consider here. First of all, you've got your time of day, what time of day you want to drive, and also whether you want to compete against a ghost car. I'll confirm that. Tracks, you choose 19 altogether. They're listed here along the bottom from the various areas. There are some that are behind a paywall. These are the British tracks here that I haven't unlocked, but I have unlocked the what they call the intercontinental tracks. I think first of all we'll go with a very simple track, Brands Hatch, to start with. We'll do a lap round Brands Hatch, so we'll confirm that. And here you choose your car. So you different dates here. There are GT4 cars and GT3 cars. So we'll have a look at the GT3s, and then you choose your car, you click on this and choose which car you want to drive. We'll go with a Ferrari to start with. There we are. There's a nice showroom, of course. You can also have a little look at your car there and confirm that, and we'll dive in. There is also personal best times here. This I find has been a little bit temperamental, these times here. Sometimes they show, sometimes they don't, etc. So let's make a start. And you'll see that the loading times are pretty swift in this game. There we are, straight away. You're in the setup screen. You can do more setups here, but I don't want to burden you with more menus. So you've got three default setups here: the wet preset setup for rain, the safe setup for a safe drive, and aggressive. So you click on that, you can of course tweak under the hood if you so desire. We are not going to do that today. We're just going to try, dive into a drive. Off we go. And here we are, straight in the cockpit. Straight inside the cockpit here, just like the sim racing is kind of designed. We are starting in the first person view. I'm going to first of all change to first gear. There we go. I'm using a paddle which is underneath or just under the steering wheel, so with my fingers I can just simply click to change up certain gears. We start off of course rounding the last bend around Brands Hatch here. I'm going very slowly first of all, just to kind of show you really the UI and things. So in the top left hand corner there you see a time flicking up. That's your lap time. This is of course all about hot laps, so it's just your best lap there will show. Top of the screen there is the time of day. Please forgive my gear change. I'm not really kind of concentrating too hard here as we go into the first turn. There is my ghost car ahead. That's a previous time that I've done. I did that quite slowly earlier while I was just twiddling around with the game. See if we can chase up to it as we approach a hairpin turn. On the top right hand corner you also have different things you can do regarding safety. So if you want to do a safe lap, if you want to do hit certain criteria, you can kind of get involved with that as we hug the apex going into this straight. Bottom right hand corner you've got your gear. The big number is the gear you're in, the miles per hour, and other certain information underneath that, which I'm not going to actually look at while I'm driving and trying to concentrate. Again, hugging the apex as we go into a slight incline. and as we approach the straight. Okay, I have, as I said before, set up here with a G29 Logitech wheel. You do feel the little bumps in the road. This is why sim racing is so good with a wheel. You can actually feel the little bumps that you go over on the road. You feel that through the wheel. This is quite a forgiving curve, so I don't need to slow down too much as I pull around this corner. Going over the curb a little bit there, and there's another curve coming up here on the right here. Get in the right gear, slow down, careful, and away we go. There's a mini map there on the left. As well, that will help you on your way to sort of judge the curves. You come up here towards I think this is called Dingley Dale or Dingley Dangley Dale or something like that. What's that, missus? The big Dingley Dangley one? Don't be so rude! God, get out! God Almighty! No, I'm not having. I'm sorry I had to hear that, guys. It's just disgraceful behaviour. Anyway, as I could compose myself a little bit now, approaching the final bend here, we'll just finish this first lap, just show you a few more features, and then what I'll do is I'll go to Suzuka and I'll drive around there, maybe partly in third person to show you a different view. Now, as you see, as I approach the finishing line, you'll see in the top left, watch closely, it shows your best time there, your best lap. It shows in green how far ahead you are with your previous lap. So if it's in red, if I slow down, for example, I mean I'm on a big rolling start here with a lot of momentum there, so it's in green. But if I slowed right down, second gear, wait for the other ghost car to catch up, there it is, I can compete with that. So anyway, that's Brands Hatch. Let's have a look at the Suzuka track. Right, so here we are back at the home page. I just thought I'd go through the process of setting up another hot lap just to show you the ease of use, but also to mention that there are, when I go to this area, other ways of doing hot laps. You can of course do the simple hot lap that we just done. You can do a hot lap super pole. I'll just let you read that at your leisure. You can pause that and see all these different style of hot laps that you can do as well. So it really is a very highly customizable game. I'll confirm that, and then we'll go to the track that I mentioned, which is part of the Intercontinental DLC. It's where the Japanese Grand Prix is held, so we'll confirm that. And let's go, for the sake of variety, let's try a GT4 car and choose one from here. Let's go with sort of slightly random. Let's go with a Ginetta. Okay, we'll go with a Ginetta. We'll confirm that, and we'll dive into the Suzuka lap once we get that properly confirmed. Indeed, and begin. And begin. Once again, as you can see, the loading screens are usually pretty swift. There you go. I can't really get over that. It's just so good when you factor in the sort of the graphical, how intense it is graphically, and the swiftness. It is quite impressive. So once again, we won't do the setup again. Remember, just to remind you, there are 3 presets here. I just go with those. If you're a casual player, that's all you need really. Let's go and drive. Now for this screen, there is just another thing I'd like to show you. There's also some settings you can do here with view settings where you can change your height. So this is again fully customizable. You go up and down there with the height. You can go to the left, go to the right. There's so many different things that you can tweak with this game. There you go. Distance. There's so much you can do. So that's again just something I think that's worth showing. Again, field of view is also very important to get that right as well. We'll quit that, continue to drive. Other things, there's views as well. We'll look at the third person view. Get that correct, there you go. So as I accelerate, get into the right gear, you can see that that's also a thing. Let me just get rid of that heads up display there. There you go. So of course this is for the arcade ones among us. Of course you think of arcade, you think of using a controller and driving in third person view with third person, sorry, got distracted there, with first person games of course, and the sim racing you would go and drive from the cockpit view. A lot of people would think this is a bit weird, using a wheel and driving in third person, or what they call chase cam view, but you know what, it's a game, you know, you're here to have fun. It's really entirely up to you how you use the use the devices, whether you want to do a wheel or with a controller. So what we'll do is we'll go a bit faster, You can get faster times as well. Ironically enough, you do tend to get better times with the third person view. So there you go. Coming up to a very interesting turn, so I'm going to slow down a little, go down to 4th, and of course accelerating away from the corner in a very professional and very smooth manner. Here comes my favourite part of the course. This is a really nice windy, swervy part of the track as we kind of go snake-like around there. When you get that right, it really does feel really nice when you drive around this properly. Which I'm making a bit of a pig's ear of because I'm kind of commentating at the same time. There's the iconic big wheel there on the right. And so of course you can, as I say, go down to back to first person with the wheel, or like so. Let's do it like so. So we've got a whopping great wheel in front of us. Actually, that's not so good. Let's try this. This is a bit better. Okay, that's a very deceptive turn which I always mess up. Going over there now to 3rd, back to 2nd, over the curbs, and away we go. So guys, that's it. That's really Assetto Corsa. Now of course you can have racing. Now with the racing I find basically I'm not very good at it really. So we go right down first around this hairpin. You probably don't need to, probably do that in a second. Yeah, I'm not too good at racing. I do enjoy racing from the Wreckfest game. That's very intense, very crazy, very arcade-like, and I find the AI in that is really kind of, it's just a certain way that the AI is programmed in that game that makes it really intense and exciting. Whereas with these games, with sim racing of the Assetto Corsa variety, or rather of that ilk, Automobilista and all the rest of it, I do find that the competitive nature of the AI is just too frustrating, and I just can't sort of crack it. Anyway, so you can see all the nice weather effects. I've got this, by the way, on medium settings. I do like to, I go for frame rate over graphics. So if I have to tone down some of the settings to get smooth frame rate, I will certainly do that. I don't think this comes on YouTube particularly well. I think YouTube, it's set to 60 frames per second. I'm not really sure. So you can't really get the full. Obviously, you haven't got a 144 monitor, you won't, but get the full effects of how beautiful the graphics really are. So anyway, that's it. That's Assetto Corsa Competizione. I hope you liked the video. Any comments about anything would be greatly received and greatly appreciated. And of course, my driving skills are not being shown to the best degree here with this demonstration. I don't think there's anything else really to add to that. That's everything really. I will see you in. I hope I haven't missed anything. I will see you in the next video. Okay, and I'm back in the room. There was one thing I forgot. There is also the replay function, which definitely needs to be mentioned here. And now all of that footage that I showed, of course, is recorded, and you can actually go for a replay. So what you can do, obviously at different camera angles, you can just see your performance there by way of a replay. You can do that without the UI. You can go down here and change different camera angles as well. With the game. It really is a smashing feature, I think, and it was just something I really wanted to show there at the end. So that really is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one.